Hi everyone, Carmen Broxman here with Choose Joy with Carmen. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I don't really announce that every time in my videos because I guess I just assumed you all knew that. But you know what they say about assuming, so I thought I better start at least telling you that I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. So if you're ever in need of any products or need a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator because you don't have one of your own, or maybe yours stopped being a demonstrator or whatever, I just wanted to let you know that I would love to be your demonstrator if that's the case. So in today's video, it's Watercolor Wednesday again, and we are now going to be doing the fifth technique, and this is called Embossed Resist watercoloring. And so I have a piece of the watercolor paper here, and we're going to be using the Sweetest Cherries stamp set along with a punch. I just love when they have punches that go with them. We're going to be using that set today for my technique. And so we're going to start off with the Versamark ink, and I'm going to be doing this like, I don't know what you call that, but it's reminds me of a basket. So that's the goal that I'm going for today. So I have my watercolor paper on this grid paper because it's really hard to see when I stamp this down where I left off. So I'm going to kind of use my grid paper as a way to guide me. So I'm going to ink this up with Versamark, and I'm going to stamp it down here and make sure that I've got that everywhere. And then I'm going to lift it up, and then I'm going to ink it up again, and I'm going to continue stamping and hopefully try to get as close as possible to where I left off before. So let's keep doing this, and then we'll see how this looks. Okay, so hopefully I lined that up the best I could. And if you've noticed, I don't know if you've worked with Versamark, but when you stamp it, it's really sticky, so it lifts up the paper. So I put some removable adhesive underneath there and attached it to here because I know I could lift it up and remove it easily, but yet it held it in place long enough for me to do my stamping. So then all I would have to do is go back in and take that removable adhesive off if I no longer needed it there. But I'm just going to go ahead and leave it because I'm going to be needing that adhesive anyway. So now I'm going to bring in my white embossing powder, and I'm sure this doesn't look the same packaging as it does now because embossing powder lasts a long time, so you really don't buy it that often. So I probably have an old label from long ago. So I'm going to go ahead and put some white embossing powder all over this Versamark and tap it off and continue doing that. And then once I get that all done, then I'm going to take it over and I'm going to heat emboss it with my embossing gun. There's some I kind of flick it like I have some extra there, so I kind of try to flick that off. Normally you would use a brush or something, but that's right over one of the stamped images. So I notice I kind of overlap, but we'll see how it looks. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to off camera go heat emboss this, and I'll be right back. Okay, I am back, And I just wanted to also tell you that whenever I use Versamark, I use a baby wipe to kind of get it off my image right away because it's really sticky. And I like to do that before I clean it off with my chamois because I don't want all that stickiness on my chamois. So I just kind of wanted to give you that little tip. And see, plus the chamois really like takes that lint off the baby wipe. So I like to do both. So there is that little trick. And I went to go put water in my water painter, and this is funny too. I wanted to tell you guys. So you have to, you know how you know normally turn right to tighten things and left to loosen things. Well, for some reason these water painters are opposite. So it was funny because instead of turning down here closer to the barrel, I started turning this up here. And then I noticed my brush was getting all weirded out. And I was like, oh, but you know, that might be really kind of cool because you could do some really cool things with that. But I just wanted to point that out. And that if you turn that top part up there, that's going to mess with your bristles. But when you turn down here in the opposite direction of what we're used to, then that'll open up so that you can put water in your water painter. Okay, so those are a couple little tricks that I just learned today. Well, not about the turning the opposite direction, but that I was messing with my brush. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ink refill for this because I'm going to need quite a lot of this. And so I want to make sure I have plenty, more than I would get by just squeezing the lid. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze where it says push here, and I'm going to squeeze that to try to get some water to come out. And basically all I'm doing is dipping it in that water and then just brushing it over my embossed area. And I think this is so cool because you can get different shades of the color that you need. And you just keep doing this, and then if you look at it and go, oh, I'd like a little more color over here, you can either let it dry a little or just go back in and go in a different direction and just add color until you get the desired look that you want. And if it gets too dark in an area, you just kind of just move it around, even if you have to add a little bit more water, because this is why we're doing it on watercolor paper, right? So I think I'm going to add just a little bit over here. And I'm not going to be using this whole piece, but if, you know, it's nice to just do that so that I can decide where I want to cut it. Because if you've noticed, I kind of overlapped right there. I guess I wasn't so good at lining it up. But to me, that just adds character to the basket, to what I feel is I'm trying to aim to look like a wicker basket. Okay, so I'm going to move this stuff aside and I'll show you the card I created. I'm not going to put that together here, but I'm just going to show you what I use this piece for. So here's the card, and I used it right back here. And here's the thing. So I was going to go with real red. I ended up going with cherry cobbler because I don't know about you, when I go to the grocery store, the cherries are pretty dark. And I thought, well, I'm going to do dark cherries as well. And I don't know, this isn't quite as dark as it looks. Let me see if I can get the light on my camera here. So I went ahead and did my stamping in the cherry cobbler first, and then I love this so much, the stitch greenery, because I thought that would be so cool to add some texture to the back there to match the leaves that's in the cherries, right? So, but I did my stamping first so that it would be easy to stamp, and then I ran it, well, actually, what I first did was I took a blender brush and I was using the Pear Pizzazz, and I kind of add a little bit of color to that white cardstock because it was a little too white for me. And then I did my stamping in the cherry cobbler, and then I ran it through with that stitch greenery right here because I thought that's pretty cool. And basically I just um, took that new punch. I love this punch. It's called the Decorative Circle. I took that and I stamped a cherry and one of the leaves directly on there, and then this other cherry with the stem and a couple of the leaves, I used the punch for that. And again, it's the Pear Pizzazz and the cherry cobbler. And then I just use our decorative piece here for the back and put this card together. I think it is so cute. Then on the inside, I wanted a little design, so I just did that stitched greenery at the bottom, and then I put a little border of the cherry cobbler cardstock there, and I did a little blending around the edges, so now I can write my little note in here. So there you go. That's a way how you can do the emboss resist watercoloring to get this, and I think that's a cool technique, and then it creates that card. Alrighty, so I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, a thumbs up would be greatly appreciated, and subscribing to my channel, as always, helps me out. Alrighty, this was our 5th technique, so now we have 2 more that I want to show you that Stampin' Up! Did last month, but I'm only doing 1 a week, so that's why we're rolling over into August. Alrighty, well, you guys all have a great week, and we'll see you next Wednesday for our 6th technique. Talk to you all later. Happy crafting, everyone. Bye-bye.